All right, take two, because I understand my last video apparently had no sound, so apologies for that. All right, here we go. What up, people? It's your boy Chig, Guna Eagle Eye, coming to you again with a brand new video. Take two of my review for the Arsenal versus Man City game. See, that's what happens when I try and put a mic in my fucking computer. No sound. Anyway, let's get to it. So I've had some time to reflect on the game. So for all of you that watched the watch along that I did live, you would have seen that a lot of the comments I'm about to make I would have mentioned in the watch along. It was a disappointing, boring, dull game to watch, to be honest. If we're being really honest, it was. Nobody really turned up. And I think I put that mainly on the players. I don't particularly blame Emery. I don't think Emery helped himself with the starting lineup. And let's talk about the starting lineup. So there were a couple of surprises in that starting lineup. I think first things first, I think most people expected Leno to start. He didn't. Czech started. That wasn't something that I was necessarily against. I also felt like Czech should start, really because I wanted Leno to earn that place. What I wasn't expecting was for Czech to start and then for us to start playing the ball from the back. It was like, oh, what are we doing here? Because that's just not what Czech does. He's not that type of keeper. So it was just an unusual tactic for Emery to deploy with Czech. Funny enough, I actually thought we started playing better when Czech stopped doing that towards the second half. But yeah, it was just, we're getting into all sorts of calamitous problems. It was just ridiculous. Czech almost scored an own goal at one point. It was just like, what the fuck is going on here? It was just a calamity. It really was. Let's just go into the game. To me, I think things that I've realised this early on, Xhaka is not a starting central midfielder. It just isn't. I'm seeing a lot of criticism for Guendouzi and his performance today. And whilst I don't think it was particularly great, the person that should have helped him through that was Granit Xhaka, and he was nowhere to be found. If anything, he left Guendouzi exposed most of the time. And the kid is a young kid, and I think all things considered, my man was trying. He was really trying, and I thought he actually did a couple of really nice things on the ball, but it will be overshadowed because he did make a couple of big mistakes. Also, if I'm being honest, I think there were certain phases of the game, in all honesty, that were a little bit fast for him. I think there's enough there in the player, but I was worried about starting him in this game. And anyone who watched my preview with Frimpong will know that I wouldn't have started Guendouzi in this game. I like the player a lot, but sometimes you just need to protect the kid. Sometimes there are times you need to be brave, and then there are times you should just protect the kid. And throwing him into the first game of the season against the champions, to me, these are the decisions that I think I'd like to see Emery improve upon. I'm not going to criticize him too much, but I just thought it was the wrong decision here. God knows why Torreira didn't start. I think this game would have been made for him. I think when he did come on, we started at least competing in the midfield battle with Fernandinho. I just think personally, Guendouzi and Xhaka, they're more or less the same type of player. You know, big imposing number 8s that like to spray the ball. They're moppers, if you like. And what I mean by moppers is you have, to me, a lot of the reason why, for example, the Santi and Coquelin combination worked so well was you had Coquelin, who was the combative guy, the one that would tackle and break up play. And then he'd pass it sideways to Santi Cazorla. Santi Cazorla would be the one to spray shit. And every now and again, Santi would be the one to stick in a foot when required. That to me is what Guendouzi is. That to me is what Xhaka is, if Xhaka is anything at all at this point. Them being DMs, I think you're just asking for trouble. And paying two of them as DMs, you're asking for even more trouble. And I think that was why there was so much space, because you had Xhaka was constantly out of position, constantly left Guendouzi isolated. And I think you were always looking for trouble when that happened. Ramsey, I thought was non-existent for most of the time that he was on. He was on for 60 minutes before getting subbed. Poor game for him. If this is Ramsey wanting a contract, no thanks. You can go in January, mate. I thought Mesut Ozil as a right winger to me just doesn't work, because we played a flat 4-3-3, so it really forces people like Mesut Ozil and Mkhitaryan as wingers. And let's talk about Mkhitaryan. You guys might not like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Mkhitaryan is not good enough to play on the Arsenal wing. He's a number 10, number 8 at best, but he's not good enough to be on the wing. He just isn't. He isn't. He's not quick enough, doesn't have enough presence of mind. The crosses of the ball aren't great. You know, I had a little debate with someone on my watch along, saying that they didn't believe you could play number 8 because he's not a good enough passer. I would completely disagree with that. I think the one thing he is very good at is passing. Particularly his short passing range, I think is very, very good. But he can't cross the ball. I don't think there's a presence of mind. Mainly, there's not a lot of pace there. There's nowhere near enough width. It was just, to me, he doesn't have enough to play in that position. And if it was me personally, I'd drop him to the bench. To me, he's not a starter. And I know people won't like that. People will think, oh, I'm being harsh because, you know, they're in love with Aubameyang, so consequently they're in love with Mkhitaryan. But if you're breaking it down, if you're honestly breaking it down with Henrik Mkhitaryan, what's the best game he's had in an Arsenal shirt outside of his debut? Really? What is his best game? You know, and don't get it twisted, people. I've not written the guy off. I think there's a good player there. I just don't think he's a fucking starter. Not as a winger. Not as a winger. And if you're not playing him as a winger, where the fuck are you going to play him? I am all for rotating him with Ozil, if you're talking about rotating number 10s. Aside from that, where else are you going to play him? So to me, I know people are in love with him a little bit, but I wouldn't want him to start against Chelsea. But I won't ruin that surprise. I'll put my 1-11 against Chelsea in my preview next week. So I thought he was disappointing. I thought Ozil was disappointing. I thought he really was disappointing. I don't think he was the worst player on the pitch, but I don't think he was great. So Ozil Nuthuggers missed me with that bullshit. He weren't great. He was not great at all. I thought Mustafi had a really poor half an hour. Started to grow into it a little bit. I think Socrates was anonymous. Bellerin was anonymous. You know, if we're being real, Aubameyang didn't play well. If we're being honest, there were a lot of people that let Emery down today. I mean, let me put it into perspective for you. I thought our two best players were two substitutes. One was a right back playing left back, because you notice that when he came on, all of a sudden, They weren't doing none of that shit that they were doing to Ainsley Maitland-Niles before he got injured. They weren't doing that no more. And then you had Lacazette, who, when he came on, he had that chance, which was so close. And that was when they were 1-0 up. And who knows, if that had gone in, maybe we would have tried to hold it out until the end of the game. And I actually thought when he came on, we were creating problems. So I think for me, that in itself is a message to Emery. Maybe you should start both Aubameyang and Lacazette up top, with Ozil just behind. Play a couple of DMs, play attacking fullbacks, so you're good to fucking go. That would be the way I'd do it. But it is what it is, man. I don't think it was a good performance. But onwards and upwards, we have to just keep moving forward. Next game is Chelsea. I hope we perform a lot better. I don't expect them to have this great amount of pace that's going to cause us a lot of problems. I think that's one thing that I did say over the summer, that I feel like we need a winner, if for no other reason, just for a bit of pace. And I think we saw that today. Every time we tried to make a break, we didn't quite have the pace to make a difference. But with Chelsea, they more rely on their physical presence. So I expect that to be something that we need to compete against. And I think that's where we'll really see what Socrates is good for. Because he supposedly likes the physical challenge. Chelsea will give him that physical challenge. So I'm hoping he shines, because today I weren't that impressed with him. But then again, I weren't that impressed with the team. In all honesty, I thought all in all, in this particular game, we as the Arsenal fans were humbled. Because we were gassed by the pre-season, to be real. We were gassed. Now I want to see what Emery does. Now we've lost the game. How does he help? How does he make this team react? I want to see us positively react to Chelsea, because we can beat Chelsea. We can. I weren't overly impressed with their performance over the week. I weren't that impressed. We can beat these fuckers, but everybody needs to give at least 30 to 40% more than they did today. Everybody. Because I want to see it was a poor performance. All right, people, I'm out of it. Sorry about the volume problems before, but if you like this video, crush that like button, destroy it, drop kick the shit out of it. For my live watch along, I gained a nice 20 subs off the back of that. So I appreciate that. That's taken me over 3,100. Let's move towards that 4,000 mark. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Over the course of the next week, I'm going to look to do a show with a few others, get a few other people on in a week. So keep an eye out on that. Best way to do that is hitting that notification bell or following me on Twitter, which is @ColossalChick. The link will be in the description below. All right, people, I'm out of here. Take care. Deuces.